Hey y'all, it's Laurie here from Laurie's World. From my home to yours, I want to share another recipe. This is my grandson's favorite, and since he's here and he wants it, I am going to make it for him. I'm making a simple but scrumptious, juicy meatloaf tonight, and I'm going to show you my ingredients. And it's going to look like a lot, but on the scheme of it, it's really not, and it's a simple recipe, and I'd like to share it with you. Okay, I have a pan here, about an 8x8 glass pan. I've got my cooking spray, of course, to coat my pan. I have a baggie, some Ritz crackers, a small can of tomato juice. I have minced onions, some garlic powder. I have some meat tenderizer that's seasoned, pepper, ketchup, mustard, A1 sauce, brown sugar, eggs, a bowl, and of course my rolling pin. And I'm going to show you what that's for in just a minute. But first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour these 2 bags of crackers into this bag because I'm going to smash it up. I'd rather use Ritz honey flavored crackers in my meatloaf for a little sweeter taste than I would normally breadcrumbs or saltine crackers. I like the Ritz preferably. Alright, so I got my baggie. I am going to open my 2 packages of Ritz. No muss, no fuss, right? Simple, easy, breezy. And this is how we do it. So I'm going to dump these in there. Seal it, but you want to get the air out, okay? I'm going to move these to the counter because it's going to get a little rough. And I just use my rolling pin and take out any happiness or frustrations, or just to have fun, because you know what? Pounding always is fun. Right, ladies? Am I right? Alright. Nothing wrong with a good old pounding. Get these crackers, and then I'm just going to roll them so it's a dust. Because this way, you don't have chunky crackers in your meatloaf. Okay? Alright. So when you're done, you're going to have a fine powder like this. Okay? I'm going to pour that into my pan. And I did forget to show you one important ingredient. For this size pan that I showed you, I'm only using 1 pound of hamburger. But when you add the crackers, of course, it does expand, and the eggs. So it's going to be more than enough, trust me. So I've got my crackers in the pan. Let me get my hamburger out. Okay. So I've got 1 pound of hamburger, as you see. I use 73 to 85 blend to 20 fat. I don't like the lean because it's dry. It's more dense and it doesn't taste as good. Alright, I've put on my gloves because, you know, you don't want to mess with raw food. I've also opened up all my ingredients already, as you can see. It just makes it convenient for you as you're working. Everything's ready to go. You know what I mean? It's just easier, handy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 eggs. Because it's only a pound of hamburger. You don't need a lot of eggs. Okay? So I usually only put in 2 eggs. Okay. I slit my hamburger, right? Because it just squeezes right out. Look at that. Don't even have to touch it. Comes right out. If you slit it end to end, just comes right out. See? Clean wrapper. Alright, and the good thing about using that Ziploc baggie, look at this. It's also a trash can. Handy dandy. Save 2-in-1 little kitchen hack there for you. Alright. I got my hamburger, my eggs, and my crackers in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to season it. And seasoning is all yours. Do it as you feel. I usually just do it by look. I don't really follow exact recipes. You got to have those onions. Sometimes I just open it up because, you know, it's easier to pour these little onions out. But it's just, like I said, it's all by sight and feel. Whatever your taste buds are. Ladies, you know what you need in the kitchen and how much you need, right? Alright, I just pour a little A1 all over the hamburger. It adds that extra oomph of all those seasonings and flavors. You know what I mean? I am just going to do 1 squirt of mustard or ketchup and just a dollop of mustard. Okay? I'm going to pour in... Start off with a half a can of my little tomato juice, okay? Now, you just get in there Use your fist as a pounding device. Mix up all those crackers and hamburger and egg mixture. Squish the hamburger. You want to break it up. You don't want to leave any chunks, because you want it to absorb all these flavors that you already put in. Okay? Now, because you only use a little bit of the tomato juice, you could use ketchup. Only ketchup if you don't like tomato juice. Okay? I find the tomato juice gives it a richer flavor. I don't drink tomato juice though, but it is good for meatloaf. Alright, as you see, it's a firm ball, okay? So, at this point, I will add some more tomato juice. I was going to say orange juice. Did you catch me there? I had to catch myself. Alrighty. Alright, I'm just kneading it to tuck. As I smash, I roll it over, in and out. Almost like you're kneading bread. Because you want to get all those flavors all mixed up. Okay? This is what it's going to look like. So it's almost forming a ball. Okay? So, at this point, I am going to take off one of my gloves. Okay? Because I need to grease my pan. And you're just going to grease it generously. Let me get it away from the camera. I don't want to grease my camera now, do I? Nothing wrong with getting a little happy on the grease, because you don't want no sticky burnt on meatloaf. Now do we? Alright. So, I am going to go ahead and use the gloved hand still, because I don't want to get raw meat. Clean all of that excess meat out of your pan. Should just all roll out like that. So here, I'm just going to knead the hamburger. You're going to make it evenly. Spread it out all over your pan, so it's nice, because you don't want it cooking at opposite direction or temperatures. You know what I mean? One side's really thick and raw, the other side's thin and burnt. So, alright, got it all panned out evenly, so it should look like this. Okay, now I can take off my other glove. Don't want to mess with yucky. Alright, at this point, what's left of your tomato juice, I'm going to pour all over the top. All of it. Okay? So, your meatloaf will look like this. Getting ready to go in the oven. Okay? So, at this point, I'm going to wrap it with foil. I put it at 350. I'll check on it in about an hour. Well, probably 45 minutes, because my oven sometimes cooks really fast if it's the only thing in there. So about the 45-minute mark, I'm going to check on my meatloaf. At that point, I will take the lid off and let it finish cooking to the desired texture and look of how you like your meatloaf. Okay? So, while this will be baking, I'm going to show you another trick. So, I am going to get a bowl. Any bowl will do, plastic, but I use this little plastic. What you're going to use now is your brown sugar. And what I do, I'm going to pour in probably about a half a cup. Give or take a little or a little more, okay? Brown sugar, okay? Now, at this point, I'm going to squirt in about a cup and a half of ketchup, okay? Now, the mustard, you're only going to put a dollop. So, it should look like this right here. Okay? Now, you take your spoon and you want to mix all these in. And you want to get out the chunks of the brown sugar. Okay? So I'm mixing it up really good. Because I don't want any big chunks of the brown sugar. So you might have to like take your spoon, smash it down. Just get it all blended. Now, depending on how sweet you like it, about this point you would taste it after all the lumps are broken up and you know everything. You don't hear the grit. It's like a grit texture because you're breaking up little granules. You know what I mean? Little crunchy, I guess. All right, so I taste it. Perfect. All right. So the whole reasoning I did this, okay, this is what it looks like. It just looks like a texture of a barbecue sauce, okay, or a darker ketchup. This is going to be the topping of my meatloaf. And when I pull it out at the 40-minute mark, 45-minute mark that I check on it, no matter what, it will be put on the meatloaf. You don't want to put it on too soon, okay, because it gives it that nice rich flavor. So it's going to be up on top. It'll be nice and gooey and wet. So when you cut your spoon through there and you get that meatloaf that's thick, then you've got that nice juicy moist topping. And at that point you'll have a decent tasting, well, not a decent taste, you'll have an amazing tasting meatloaf. So I'm going to put this in the icebox till I need it. So while the meatloaf is cooking, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to clean up this mess, and I will be right back. Okay, y'all. I'm pulling out my meatloaf. Let's see how it's doing. Oh, look at that. Look at that, nice and bubbly. Oop. Don't that look amazing? In for its close-up. All right. Now, I'm going to put on the sauce. And what I like to do is I'm literally going to smother it. Okay? Let me get this into the frame a little bit more. I'm going to dump, after I stirred it back up, in case, you know, it's been sitting in the icebox. And I'm just going to lather that whole thing. Okay? Because going to bake in anyways and harden up. So get it down in the sides. Alrighty. So this is what it looks like after the sauce. I'm going to put it back in on 350 for another 45 minutes. Alright. Alright all. And there you have it. A meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and corn dinner. Alright? But, as you see it on the plate, there it is. Look at that. Caramelized, brown sugar, ketchup, mustard topping. Nice, juicy meatloaf. What can I say? Sides, corn, gravy. Now that, my folks, that's a meal to sink your teeth in and fill that belly up on a cold night. Because I know a lot of you are out there in the winter storms. Alright, for this recipe and more, please come check them out on Lauries World. I hope to see you there. Have a blessed night.